Am I wrong for telling my husband's ex that I must have been his favorite girlfriend since he married me? I believed Caleb and I had finally found our happily ever after. But one night, a casual comment at a bar triggered a surprising reaction from Patty, Caleb's ex. As the truth unfolded, I found myself facing a twist I never saw coming. When I first met Caleb, we were both 12 years old. Just kids with awkward smiles, skinny arms, and far too many freckles between us. It was the kind of friendship that started with shy glances and goofy jokes passed in class. The kind where you never really know when it turned into something more. It just quietly grew, like roots beneath the soil, spreading wide and deep before you even realized it. Our lives intertwined slowly, like branches of the same tree. Sometimes we were close, inseparable even. And other times we drifted apart, caught up in the natural flow of growing up. But somehow we always found our way back to each other, no matter how much time had passed or how much we'd changed. By the time we turned 22, Caleb and I had already shared more memories than most couples do in a lifetime. We had inside jokes that spanned years, old notes folded into perfect squares, and a collection of late-night conversations that shaped who we were. But life, as it often does, found ways to complicate what once felt simple. Careers, distance, misunderstandings, all of it piled up slowly until it felt easier to walk away than to keep holding on. So we did. We broke up, quietly and respectfully, telling ourselves it was for the best. At the time, maybe it was. 17 years passed. Life moved on. We both did our own thing. Different cities, different jobs, different people. But as the years ticked by, something always felt unfinished. I didn't realize how much until Caleb and I reconnected 3 years ago. A casual message turned into a phone call, which turned into a dinner, which somehow turned into the second chapter of our story. This time, it felt different. We weren't kids anymore. We knew what we wanted. And more importantly, we knew what we didn't want to lose again. Now we're both 40, and we've been married for just over 2 years. That long, winding road we traveled, all the breakups, the silence, the distance, it feels like a distant memory now, but it also feels like an essential part of our story. We didn't get it right the first time, or even the second, but we found our way, eventually. I remember looking into Caleb's eyes at the altar, my hand in his and laughing softly. Can you believe it took us almost 2 decades to get it right? He smiled back at me, that same familiar grin that had been a part of my life since middle school. Better late than never, he said, his voice steady. Then came our vows. Caleb looked at me with such sincerity it made my chest ache. Phoebe, from the moment I met you, I knew my life would never be the same. I promised to love you, cherish you, and never take our time together for granted. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I held his gaze, heart full. Caleb, we've had our ups and downs, but every moment, every turn in our story brought us to this day. I vow to stand by you, love you fiercely, and always find our way back to each other. The ceremony was simple but beautiful. Our friends and family filled the room with love and laughter, most of them having witnessed our on-again, off-again journey over the years. They knew how much this moment meant. Among the guests was Patty, Caleb's ex from a few years before. We reconnected. Their relationship had ended on good terms. There was no lingering bitterness, just a quiet understanding that they weren't meant to go the distance. Patty had even sent a kind message when she heard we were getting married. Every now and then, she'd still reach out on holidays or birthdays, just short, polite messages. One Saturday evening, a few months after the wedding, Caleb and I went out to our favorite local bar. It was a small, familiar place with soft lighting, worn-in booths, and a jukebox that played more golden oldies than current hits. We had just settled into our drinks when I noticed a familiar face walk in. It was Patty. She spotted us quickly and came over with a smile, confidence in her stride, but no sign of awkwardness. "Hey, stranger," she said as she greeted Caleb with a quick hug, her eyes sparkling with recognition. "Patty, good to see you," Caleb said warmly. Then she turned to me. "Phoebe, you look great." "Thanks, Patty. You too," I replied, with a small smile. We all sat together at the bar, the three of us nestled into a cozy corner booth as the night stretched on. The drinks were cold, the lighting soft, and the background music mellow enough to let conversations flow without effort. It was easy, surprisingly so. We laughed, shared stories, and slowly began dipping into that familiar place of old memories. At first, it was light and fun. "Remember that time we went to that awful karaoke bar?" Patty said suddenly, her eyes glinting with amusement as they bounced between Caleb and me. Her voice was filled with laughter and warmth, like she had stepped right back into an old chapter. "Oh God, yes," I said, laughing along. "I thought Caleb was going to break the microphone." "Hey," Caleb said, pretending to be offended. "I have the voice of an angel, thank you very much." I shook my head, more like an angel with a head cold. We all laughed together, and for a moment, it felt like any other casual night out. Even though Patty was Caleb's ex, everything felt harmless, lighthearted. I let my guard down a bit, thinking maybe this was just one of those rare, mature adult moments where history could exist without awkwardness. But as the night wore on and the drinks loosened tongues further, the conversation began to shift. The subjects got more personal. The teasing became more pointed. Patty leaned a little closer to Caleb, her voice dropping just slightly into something more intimate, her eyes playful. "Well," she said with a half smile, "at least I'll always be your favorite girlfriend." The words hit like a cold breeze in the middle of summer. My smile froze for a brief second. My heart didn't exactly sink, but it definitely stopped. I didn't want to react too strongly. Didn't want to make a scene or give her words any more weight than they deserved. Still, a knot slowly formed in my stomach. I managed a small laugh, keeping my voice steady. "Wouldn't I be his favorite girlfriend since I'm the one he married?" I said, light but clear, just enough to set a gentle boundary. The shift was instant. Patty's smile faltered, her playfulness quickly replaced by something unreadable. She finished the last sip of her drink, set the glass down, and stood up, grabbing her purse. "I think I'm going to call it a night," she said, voice tight, but controlled. "Good seeing you both." Caleb blinked in surprise. "Patty, don't go," he started, but she was already turning away, walking toward the door with stiff shoulders. The air at our table grew quiet again. I sat still, trying to piece together what had just happened. Had I overstepped? Or was that comment too far on her part? I wasn't sure. All I knew was that something had shifted, and the lightness from earlier was gone. Later that night, after we'd made it back home and were winding down, the tension still quietly lingering between us, Caleb's phone buzzed on the nightstand. He picked it up, and I noticed his expression shift almost immediately. His brow furrowed, and he exhaled slowly, rubbing at his temples like the message had brought on a headache. "What is it?" I asked, feeling a small ripple of anxiety. "It's from Patty," he said, not looking up at me just yet. "Who sent what?" I repeated, trying to read his expression. He paused, then finally spoke. "Patty, she sent a long message about why she left the bar. She's blaming you." My stomach turned. "Blaming me? But I didn't do anything wrong. I only said—" "I know," Caleb said quickly, finally meeting my eyes. His voice was calm but firm. "Phoebe, you didn't do anything wrong. She's reading into things. I'll take care of it." I nodded slowly, still feeling a swirl of confusion and guilt that I knew wasn't really mine to carry. I watched as Caleb began to type, his thumbs moving deliberately across the screen, pausing between sentences to make sure he chose the right words. He read it out loud softly as he typed, more for himself than for me. "Patty, I'm sorry that what Phoebe said upset you, but she was just stating a fact. She is my favorite, and that's exactly why I married her." He hit send. After a few quiet minutes, Caleb's phone buzzed again. The reply was from Patty. "Caleb," she wrote, "she thinks she's better than me. You always said you'd never get married, not even if someone put a gun to your head. And yet with her, you proposed after a month and married her in under 9. It hurts. It really hurts to see how fast you changed. And not for me." Caleb sighed, his face tired, not with anger, but with the heaviness of an old story returning uninvited. He glanced at the screen, read the message again, then began typing his response slowly, his fingers moving with care. "Patty, that's not true," he wrote. "Phoebe doesn't think she's better than anyone. I'm really sorry you're hurt, but what she said wasn't wrong. I fell in love with Phoebe all over again, and I wanted to spend my life with her. That decision came from my heart, not from comparison. Please don't say things about her that aren't true. And please, don't speak about her like that again." When he finished, he set the phone down with a soft clink and looked over at me. His eyes met mine, steady and sure. "I hope that clears things up," he said gently. I nodded, trying to find the right words to express the mixture of emotions swirling inside me. My throat felt tight. "I truly never in a million years would want to hurt anyone's feelings," I said, my voice slightly trembling. "I said I was your favorite because, well, you marry your favorite person, right? Why would you marry someone who isn't?" Caleb stepped forward, wrapping his arms around me without hesitation. His embrace was warm and reassuring, grounding me. "You're absolutely right," he whispered. "Patty's dealing with her own emotions and maybe some pain she never really worked through. But none of this is your fault. You didn't do anything wrong." The next morning, I needed to clear my head, so I met up with my best friend Luna at our favorite little coffee shop tucked on a quiet street corner. It had cozy chairs, warm lighting, and the smell of fresh coffee and pastries in the air, our little safe haven from the world. Luna listened as I told her everything, from the bar to the message Patty sent, to the lingering guilt I couldn't quite shake. "So," she said, stirring her latte thoughtfully. Patty is upset because you said you're Caleb's favorite? Yeah, I replied, sighing. She called me petty and jealous, but I was just stating a fact. I mean, it's not like I meant to throw it in her face. Am I wrong here? Luna leaned back, her face calm but firm. Phoebe, you didn't say anything that wasn't true. You're his wife. Of course you're his favorite. Honestly, she sounds like she's hurting over something else. Maybe she recently went through a breakup, or maybe she just never let go of the hope that something with Caleb might resurface. Either way, that doesn't mean you did something wrong, I guess, I said quietly, swirling the coffee in my cup. I just hate the idea that she thinks I'm trying to compete with her. I'm not. I've never seen this as some kind of rivalry. Luna reached across the table and gently squeezed my hand. Her touch was warm and kind. You're not competing with anyone, she said. Caleb chose you. He loves you. That's the only thing that matters. Don't let her baggage weigh you down. I smiled a little, her words helping to settle the unease that had been sitting in my chest. It still didn't feel completely gone, but I felt more balanced, a bit more sure of myself again. Later that evening, as the sky dimmed and the quiet rhythm of our home returned, I found Caleb in the kitchen. He was humming softly to himself as he cooked dinner, chopping vegetables and stirring a pot that smelled delicious. I leaned against the counter and watched him for a moment, feeling both love and uncertainty bubbling up at once. Do you think Patty's right? I asked finally, my voice soft, unsure. The question had been lingering all day, waiting for the right moment to rise. Caleb paused, set the knife down, and looked up at me with steady eyes. About what? Caleb asked, looking up from the chopping board, his hands still busy but his eyes focused on me. I hesitated before answering. About me being insecure and petty. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything to Patty. Maybe I overreacted. Caleb paused, set down the knife, and walked over to me. His expression was soft but serious. Phoebe, he said, you are the most confident and secure person I know. Don't let Patty's feelings make you doubt yourself. You had every right to say what you did. You didn't start anything. You responded honestly. I let out a sigh, feeling the tension slowly begin to leave my body. I just don't want any drama. There won't be any, he promised, wrapping his arms around me in a steady embrace. I love you. That's all that matters. The rest of the evening passed quietly. I kept thinking about Patty's message, but I tried to push it aside and enjoy the normal moments of our life together. Caleb was calm, gentle, and present, as always, and just being around him reminded me that our relationship was strong, grounded in love, and built over years of history, both easy and complicated. The following weekend, we decided to host a small gathering at our place. Just a few close friends, nothing fancy. The kind of casual evening filled with laughter, snacks, music, and shared memories. Luna was there, along with a couple of other good friends we hadn't seen in a while. The atmosphere was warm and light, the living room glowing with soft lights, the kind of setting that makes you feel like everything is okay, at least for a while. We were in the middle of playing a game when my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting maybe a random update or message from a group chat, but instead it was another message from Patty. Her words stopped me in my tracks. I thought we agreed that Caleb and I would still be friends. This isn't fair, Phoebe. You're pushing me out of his life. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, unsure how to react. The discomfort bubbled back to the surface again, fresh and familiar. I leaned over and quietly showed the message to Luna. She read it, her face tightening slightly as she raised an eyebrow. She's really not letting this go, is she? Luna said, keeping her voice low so others wouldn't overhear. What should I do? I asked, unsure if replying again would only escalate things. Luna thought for a moment, then gave a small nod. Maybe it's time to talk to her in person, a real conversation. Clear the air once and for all. The idea made my chest tighten. I wasn't someone who liked confrontation, especially emotional ones, but Luna was right. This tension was lingering too long, and if there was a chance to put it to rest, I had to take it. When I mentioned the idea to Caleb later, he agreed immediately. I think that's a good idea, he said. Let's do it together. So the next day, we arranged to meet Patty at a quiet cafe not far from where she lived. The kind of place where the music was soft, the lights dim, and the coffee always came with a cookie on the side. We arrived a few minutes early, but Patty was already there. She was seated at a corner table, fidgeting with her coffee cup, her eyes scanning the room anxiously. As we approached, she looked up. Her expression was complicated. Part hope, part hurt, part guarded resentment. She tried to smile, but it faltered. I took a steadying breath. Patty, I began, gently. We're here to talk because we want to understand what's really going on. We don't want there to be tension between us. That's not what any of us want. Patty looked down at her coffee before speaking. Her voice cracked slightly. I just feel like you're taking Caleb away from me. We were good friends, and now it feels like I've lost him completely." Her words hung in the air, heavy and raw. I glanced at Caleb and he stepped in. "Patty," he said, keeping his voice calm and kind, "we're not trying to push you out, but things have changed. I'm married now. My life looks different. Phoebe is my priority, and that's how it should be. That doesn't mean I don't value our friendship, but boundaries are important." Patty's eyes welled with tears. "I don't know if I can handle that," she whispered. "It's hard seeing you with someone else. It's just hard." I leaned forward slightly. "I understand that. Really, I do. But you have to respect our relationship. Caleb and I are building something real and lasting. We need you to support that if you're going to be in our lives." She nodded slowly, wiping the corners of her eyes with a napkin. "I'll try. It's going to take some time." "We understand," Caleb said quietly. "We're not expecting everything to be perfect, but we do need things to be respectful." By the time we left the cafe, the sky had started to darken, and the late afternoon light had turned soft and golden. It wasn't a perfect solution, and it didn't erase the past or guarantee a smooth future, but it was a start, a small, hard, necessary step in the right direction. As we walked to the car, hand in hand, I felt lighter, not completely free of the ache, but more at peace. For the first time in days, I felt something shift, something hopeful.